Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today what we're going to go ahead and do is look at how to create a black and white portrait. So what I've done so far is basically imported this picture of Luke from the Struts. So we'll be looking at Lightroom and Photoshop a little bit. So obviously within Lightroom I've gone to File, Import Photos and Video, and I've selected this image of Luke. We actually shot this about 3 or 4 years ago down in London. The weather wasn't so great on that day, hence why it was such a flat image. We were working out on location and very much working with natural light during that shoot, so very sort of basic stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the develop module here. For this one I won't be looking at any presets or anything like that, as Lightroom and Photoshop are very powerful tools for black and white imagery in my opinion. So in this control panel here to the right you'll see an option for black and white. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Now automatically it obviously converts it to black and white, so that's great. However, this image in my opinion is still very flat. There's not that much detail. It just looks very dull. It's not something I'd like to have on my wall, for example. It just doesn't look that great. So what I'm going to start doing is just go ahead and start playing around with these different settings here. So one of the ones is exposure, which is obviously to brighten it up. I'm going to go ahead and click on the contrast option because I really love high contrast black and white images, and it's something that I strive to, you know, kind of work towards in my own work. I'm going to go ahead and click on clarity because that will really make the image pop, really sharpens it up and brings back the detail. Last but not least, I'm going to have to play around with the sharpening setting here. You can see you've got like a preview option here within Lightroom, which is great. Now what you'll notice is that Luke's face, you've lost all the detail or a lot of the detail on the skin here. Now one of the reasons for this is because we've increased the contrast and the exposure is quite high. I'm just going to go ahead and play around with this highlight settings. You'll notice as soon as I start reducing this, you start getting the detail back in the face. It looks a bit too Halloweeny there, so I'm just going to increase the highlights a bit there, around about there. I'm just going to increase the exposure ever so slightly again. Keep it around about there. Just going to play with the clarity there. Okay, sure. So I'm quite happy with the way that that's starting to look. Now, with this image, obviously, when you're photographing a portrait, the key sort of thing to do is capture that image in frame. So with the angles that I've gone for here, you've got a vantage point in the background. It's a bit of bokeh, so Luke is very much, you know, the main focal point, which is what you aim to get in a portrait. Couple of issues with this image in my opinion at first glance is the fact that it was quite windy that day, so his hair is kind of a little bit not that great. So what I'm going to do is take this photo into Photoshop. And this image here, I'm going to right click and then edit in Photoshop. A couple of seconds, Photoshop will boot up, and along with that, the image will automatically open in Photoshop like that. So now we're in Photoshop. I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. So within Photoshop, to clean this bit of hair up, I'm going to go ahead and use the clone stamp tool. Now, for those of you guys who may use this on a regular basis, obviously there are different tools that you can use to do this sort of thing. But for this one, as there's not a whole bunch of cleaning up to do, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly just give it a bit of a clean so it's not so much of a distraction. The thing is with portraits, it really needs to kind of bring, you know, the subject out and really make them pop real nice. So if this was going to be in a magazine, which it was at that time, it needs to go, you know, sort of bam and just be in your face type of thing. So that, as you can see, I haven't played around with it too much, really quickly. And already it's looking a lot better. Now the other tool that I really like to use to clear up images is a spot healing brush tool. And what this does is, I'm going to just go ahead and change the size on this. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. So you see this little wasp of hair, I'm going to just go ahead and run that up. And if you noticed, it's done it automatically. It's got rid of the waft of hair without you having to do too much. So I'm just going to run that over in little areas there. These are like the real sort of basic tool, guys. So, you know, don't be afraid to go ahead and use this in your next portrait session, you know, if you're editing and whatnot. Now, one of the reasons that I like to just try and get as much as possible in frame is basically so you're not spending hours upon hours editing images. So that, in my opinion, is a lot better already. One of the other things in portraits I really love to do is basically make the eyes pop a little bit more. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is click on this, sorry, not that one. I'm going to go ahead and click on the dodge tool, and I'm going to click on the color picker. I'm going to go for Luke's eyeball here, and I've changed, so the exposure, I'm going to just change it to about 20 to 21%. And if you notice, his eyes just makes it a little bit brighter and just makes him stand out ever so more, a little bit more even. That right there, I'm really happy with that. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and click on File, Save. And what that will do is when you switch back to Lightroom, you'll find that you've got 2 copies here now. So just for comparison purposes, I've got the original one here, and this one is the one that I'm super happy with. So hopefully you guys can kind of see where I'm going with that. I'm just going to go ahead and just dabble with some more of these options a little bit. There we go. Shouldn't be too much of it. And just sharpen it off. Guys, I'm going to leave it like there, right there. Now, when we took this photo, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, so my editing style back then wasn't quite the same as now. I wouldn't have edited in the same way. So your style definitely changes as you shoot more, and obviously depends on what sort of thing you're shooting. Certainly for this one, it's definitely one of my favourite photos and portraits that I've ever taken so far. Luke's a really interesting subject. I really love their style. And it, you know, it's one of my, it'll be in the archive, that's for sure. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys have found it useful. If you have got any questions, do let me know. Just obviously comment below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as I will be releasing more videos. And I will be back real soon with a new video. Bye for now.